This year marks the 60th anniversary since the fateful Tibetan uprising of 1959 and the subsequent entry into exile for the Tibetan diaspora.
In Tibet! Stop the killing! In Tibet! Stop the torture! In Tibet! Stop the torture! In Tibet! Religious freedom! In Tibet! Religious freedom! In Tibet! Religious freedom! In Tibet!
After many trials, Tibetans now live in countries across the globe, keeping their civilization alive. Living in exile, Tibetan refugees have completely assimilated into the mainstream culture of Britain. But, due in part to the presence of the Tibetan community in Britain, their way of life remains intact. Over the last 60 years, Tibetans have not just lived in Britain, they have contributed to its society. Members of the community are present in almost all the professions that Britain needs. Teachers, doctors, nurses, engineers, lawyers, and many others.
I've seen how Tibetans have developed firsthand over the last 60 years, from when they came over the Himalayas as a people speaking a language no one understood, subject to tropical illnesses, and with skills that weren't useful in India, to today, where they're in almost every profession in the world, integrated, contributing to their communities, while at the same time retaining their national identity and developing and nurturing their culture, their art, their music, their song.
If there were ever an example of what migrants have to offer a country, the Tibetan experience is one. Tibetan Buddhism itself is one of the unique ideas that Tibetan immigrants have brought to Britain, with eminent scholars and lamas frequently coming to share their knowledge. There are now Buddhist centers that spread these teachings to all those who wish to learn. Traditional dance and music have also been kept alive for the rest of the world to enjoy through the efforts of the entire community.
Throughout the world, millions have gained from the teachings of His Holiness and Tibetan Lamas, so that Tibet's spiritual heritage has become part of global humanity's spiritual heritage. And at the same time, they've developed democratic institutions and a government to manage their affairs. It is an extraordinary story. The UN say that Tibetan refugees are the most successful refugee group since the Second World War, and they have much to be proud of.
The ancient language of Tibet now lives on in classrooms across Britain, such as the London School for Tibetan Culture.
I think they have assimilated very nicely without losing their own identity. That's the important thing here. That's what I admire about the Tibetan community here. They've all contributed a lot, being very hardworking, nice people. Everybody likes them. And the good thing is that most of them are very keen to protect their own culture, whether it's language or dance or other cultural things. That's very good. In many countries they have, like here, they have special schools, and it's very important that the second generation or the third generation still, what I think is very important, that they can speak Tibetan.
Even 3 generations on, in exile, the Tibetan culture is thriving, growing, and developing in environments far from the snowy peaks of the Himalayas. The Tibetan community in Britain is a vital institution that brings Tibetans together through events, religious gatherings, and educational programs, allowing a sense of identity to be passed down to those who are born in Britain itself. Despite the troubles and setbacks, it has been a strong 60 years preserving the core of Tibetan identity, reminding the world of the hardy people who hail from the roof of the world. Let's make sure that this continues into the future. They have made their home in Britain, but they are Tibetans still.
Stop the killing! In Tibet! Stop the torture! In Tibet! Stop the torture! In Tibet! Religious freedom! In Tibet! Religious freedom! In Tibet! Religious freedom!